Me is Kev. Yeah, and that's it. Not because I totally forgot to ask other people if they wanted to be on the show and totally forgot that Mike wasn't going to be on the show or any of that. But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about how awesome the Hounds are and how terrible Indy is. Cool. Here we go. Yeah, so before we get any farther, I'm going to do this right now.
On your
Victory
own terms.
selfie.
Yeah.
Yes. So how is Kevin?
Good. I have, because you're hosting, I can bring a little more to the table as far as that initial question that I usually bring. This past weekend, my wife went back to Pittsburgh actually to see a friend that she had in high school. Just had a kid, and so left me back in Knoxville for the weekend of Kevin. And the weekend of Kevin was, pretty couch centric, which is good. But I part of that I binged like the first like 5.5 episodes of The Sandman, and I really liked it. It was really really good on Netflix. If anyone, I don't even think you would have to have an interest in like comic booky stuff. I mean, Riley came home on Sunday night, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to watch it?" She's like, "I don't like. Do I have to pay attention to it or whatever?" And I was like, "No." I was like, and yeah, we watched 4 episodes that night. She's like, "Yeah, let's watch another one." So yeah, she liked it too. Yeah,
It's a
so
great
that's
show. I love it. It is a little bit weird how sporadic the episode lengths are. Like I'm used to with streaming shows you can have any length, whatever, I get it. But like first episode 50 some minutes or like an hour and a half and the second episode 32 minutes. I'm like, what is going on? Like this is so weird. But yeah, I'm loving it.
yeah,
As a huge fan of the books, it's completely different, like but in a good way. Like I feel
yeah,
like they made a whole bunch of issues that are all kind of like separate into like one cohesive story instead of making it like kind of like vignettes. Like sometimes a comic felt like a story of
yeah.
the week, monster of the week type thing. But also this weekend, EPL started back up. The perfect weekend for you to be couch surfing most of the weekend because I'm sure
Dang
you
right.
were able just to turn it on, and just binge it.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was really nice to get up Saturday morning and have a game to watch. Again, I mean, subpar outcome for Liverpool, but it was good. It was good to just see. It was just good to see those players play again. It was good to. I watched a bit of the what was it? Tottenham. Who did Tottenham play?
Was it? Oh, I watched the game. It was me and Liz actually went to a bar. We went to Bulldog at
Nice.
7:30 in the morning to
Nice.
watch Fulham play
Yeah.
Liverpool. We are fully expecting that game to be completely, Fulham getting blown out. And we showed up, and Bulldog has actually become the Liverpool bar.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's funny because Everton uses it as well. So it's like it's going to be fun during that game. But anyway, I think there's probably about 30, maybe 35 Liverpool supporters at 7:30 in the morning watching that game. And then at a table was Liz with her. She'd actually have on a Fulham kit or anything like that, but the Fulham supporter and me with my Everton jersey on. And like we had a couple of friends who are Liverpool fans that sat with us, but we were like
Yeah.
the chaos table. And as soon
Nice.
as Fulham scored the first one, I'm just like, rather walk alone, like razzing them. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
we were there way too long though because it was Fulham and then the 10 o'clock games, which we mostly watched the Tottenham match, and
Yeah.
then at 12:30 Everton played. So then we stayed for the Everton match. So by the time all said was done, I'm like, let's leave. I don't want to come back to this
Breakfast,
bar.
lunch, and dinner. Yeah, you
Yeah, right. It was like,
got.
oh, okay. And like you were like, hey, you're gonna stay for the Hounds watch party. I'm like, I can't stay at this bar any longer. I'm sorry.
I didn't catch the like full like thing of scores. Who did Everton play and how'd it go?
Everton played Chelsea and they lost. It was
Oh,
not
okay.
great, but it wasn't a bad, like it wasn't like a game that we got blown out. And
Yeah.
for how injured our play list is and how thin our roster is right now, I was fully expecting it to be like, well, this is going to be terrible.
Right.
But yeah, it was not as bad as as it could have been.
especially against Chelsea. I mean, and not to belabor the point because I know we have to talk about Hounds, but I saw Everton just signed Connor Cody as a
Yeah.
center back. I mean, that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
cool, but we need forwards right now.
Yeah.
Like you look at the starting lineup, you're like, we don't really have any forwards to play really. So it's like, well, let's hope the midfield's great. So
Corners, just a lot of
yeah.
corners.
But what was great was the Riverhounds. And speaking of good defense, the Riverhounds. So yeah, let's just jump into the match. Ended up 2-0 after the Hounds got a red card. Well, it was two accumulated yellows for Yabara at the, what was it, the 54th minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, from the 54th minute on, we were playing a man down and kept them goalless. In fact, I thought we had a couple opportunities to actually score and was surprised that we didn't.
I thought Indy looked better when we had 11. Like I think in the first half they created more chances. There were a couple where I can remember one in particular where they kind of got down the side and crossed in a ball, and like one of their players was just like one-on-one with the keeper, and he just skied it. I really enjoyed the commentator's note on that play in particular because it was the guy had the opportunity, he skied it. The commentator's like, he does not miss those. And then like literally 2 seconds later, he's like, the last time he scored was like June 18th. I was just like, what? like, yes, he does miss those apparently.
Apparently.
But no, it was, I think for how bad Indy has been, like for how bad their results have been, I haven't watched Indy, I was expecting them to be, this is going to sound weird to say, I was expecting them to be worse in that I thought they created some chances that they just didn't put away. Now, maybe that's when like it shows how bad they really are because they did create chances and like they couldn't do anything with them. And so I think that further kind of illustrated maybe why they are where they are. But I thought when it was a bit more back and forth and they were going for it and we were going for it, they created a couple more chances. But I thought after the red card, well, not even. I mean, yeah, you mentioned we had a couple more chances. I'd be curious. I'll stop talking here in a second. Maybe a talking point, like a little bit down the road after we cover more of the general structure of the game was. I thought the sub after the red card was really interesting when Lily brought on Forbes and Kelly. Yeah, I get it, and there's just a lot to talk about there. I think it ended up working pretty well, but yeah, I thought it was a game where at the beginning it felt like we were kind of shadow boxing each other pretty well and pretty evenly, and then it's just when we had the chances we made them count, and they didn't, and that's what better teams do. Like they make their chances count, and then they get the win on the road, and that's kind of how it played out.
Yeah, and I will say, especially the first 15 minutes, even though we scored within that first 15 minutes, it looked like it was definitely, both of us feeling each other out, and they didn't look bad, and it
Yeah.
wasn't like we were dominating the whole game. Especially, I mean, obviously going down a man, it's harder to dominate. The possession, everything like that. But so one of the polls that Mongols put out was their man of the match, and obviously, Cicerone won the poll. But like going a man down and having our defense keep it scoreless, like it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even like we had a that cushion goal, so we could have let them have one in and like not been panicking as much, but we kept them at 0. Should have someone in the back line gotten man of the match, do you think? Do you think Jelani maybe? Or do you think it was such a group effort for the defense? Or like, it wasn't even just the defense, it was everyone playing
Yeah.
defense. Was it more of a group effort to make it, scoreless?
I think that's what it is for me. I couldn't pick out a single player on the defense that stood out. I thought it was a really good collective, well structured defensive performance. I mean I'm sure there was, but and maybe I'm just, at this point I'm like trained to remember like the great attacking plays we make rather than the great defensive plays. I remember, I think it was last week, you specifically noted, I think it was Peters who like had a goal line clearance that really kind of ended
Yeah.
up being really important. And yeah, and so like, yeah, I mean, that's a really good pick out, and they're just things that I usually forget. But yeah, no, I couldn't. I mean, I think the problem is when an attacker makes a mistake, whatever, when a defender makes a mistake, it leads to a goal. And so I remember mistakes from defenders a lot more. Like I'm remembering something that Ordonez did that like let in one of their players for a chance or whatever. So like, but I'm sure Ordonez had a lot of really good defensive plays. So yeah, no, I couldn't really think of. It was a good, strong defensive performance all around. I think by the end, it was Kelly. Kelly ended up sitting up top, and Dikwa sat a bit deeper. But yeah, it was Kelly sitting up top, and then everyone behind the ball. But yeah, I'll say as a joke, I'll say Jamali Waite gets it because I loved right when we got the red card. It was before the sub came on. And, so we get the red card. You can tell Lily is talking with, the coaching staff, like, all right, what do we do? How do we figure this out? Everyone's trying. And Jamali Waite catches the ball and then goes down with a cramp. I was like, you're the goalkeeper. How do you have a cramp? Like, he caught the ball and he's like, oh, my hamstring hurts. And I was just like, what? I was just like, that is genius.
Yeah.
And it just gave everyone an extra like minute and a half. And then the sub comes on. I was like, that's amazing. So, I couldn't pick one out. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I kind of agree with that. It was kind of a leading question to go with because I do think it was just impressive to see. A lot of it has been made about this season and how Lily usually has really strong defense, and it's all about defense, and how this season hasn't felt as much about that. And a lot of firepower. We signed a lot of forwards, and it just felt like maybe that had fallen on the wayside. Maybe his tactics that evolved or whatever. But this was kind of that reminder that no, they can still do it. Like they have it in them to just hunker down and have that full on defense. Now it is against Indy, and Indy is we talked a little bit about how they looked better than we expected, and even on Twitter. There's a couple of people I follow who are Indy supporters, and like even they were pretty much being like, guys, this is like so much better than it has been previous weeks. Like I know we lost and it sucks, but we looked a lot better than we have, which kind of says something about where their team's at right now when they lose 2-0, being up a man. And that's still like people are seeing some silver lining there. But I kind of going back a little bit. So when the lineup came out for this game, a lot of rotation. I think there was like 4 players who normally don't start that were getting the start. We saw like Sims come back in. Rovi was in. Ybarra's in. Who else was it? It was I want to say is Ordonez usually starting? Yeah.
I was gonna say remember. Those are the 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was rotation, and kind of was wondering a little bit at first, like, is this the game to rotate? Like, I guess they aren't that great of a team, so maybe you can afford it. And you get 5 subs, so even if you do rotate and things aren't working out, you can kind of do a hockey change and just completely do a line change and get everyone in there. Get your regular starters in plus more. So it wasn't terribly concerning to me, at least. Did you find it concerning?
No, I think the other thing is I need to vocalize and be aware of this so that you and Mike can check me on it. I have an affinity towards Sims. I think he's English. He's number 16. I was always number 16 growing up in my sports. So I think, like, for me, I always like seeing him on the field. I think he plays pretty well. I don't think I'm blinded too much by my what would you call it? Like
affinity towards him or
whatever. Yeah. I don't think I'm blinded too much by that, but I thought he played well, and I think he continues to play well. And every time I see him, so no, like when he comes on, I'm happy with it. The weird thing is, I think in the past, generally, I think Sims has come on and Dixon maybe has played his opposite on like the other wing back. So if it's something where like, unless it's like, for rest or injury purposes, like, I'd rather see Dixon play than Sims because Dixon's amazing. But no, I like Sims. I like Rivera too. I feel like Rivera hasn't had a run in the side for a while, not a consistent run.
Yeah.
And Ibarra, I'm kind of mixed on, but I will say when you want to look for a partner in the midfield alongside Griffin, if you're going to commit to putting Mertz a little bit more advanced, I mean, what you have Kenny, and then maybe Rivera, and that's it. So if you want something, if you're away from home, you're expecting something out of Indy where you want someone who's gonna get some yellow cards, gonna get some fouls, and play that kind of game. Yeah, and okay, fine, he could be a good switch for Forbes. So no, I thought the subs, I could reason my way through them. So I didn't necessarily buy this, but I know the commentators mentioned, on a hot game away from home when you have 5 subs and hydration breaks, maybe it's you're kind of saving the legs of the older guys a little bit more. And I don't know. I don't really buy that, but no, I like all those players, and it didn't feel like, I remember the first game we played against the away game against Detroit. I remember that was like, oh, okay, like there was a lot of changes there. This didn't really feel like it. It felt like a normal kind of rotation thing. But what about you?
Yeah, I wasn't concerned about the rotation, obviously, but because I already said that. But I do think that there might have been something to the whole idea that maybe resting some of the older guys and letting some of the. I think it's just the way it lines up. It's not so much that he was resting them because they were older. I think it was more he was giving the other players a chance, the younger guys a chance to show their worth and kind of like give them, room to play. And it works out. That's also a really hot game. I did think it was weird that we only had one hydration break in the first half, and the second half didn't have one.
I didn't even catch that. I
Yeah,
remember the first hydration break.
yeah, it's like, oh, okay, all right. I think the announcers made a note that they weren't going to do a second hydration break. That's the only reason why I even remembered it, because they made that comment at the beginning of the half. I was like, oh, I didn't know they let the announcers know like ahead of time, like, hey, there's no hydration break this half. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised they can even do that within like the rules of the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
imagine like once you make that decision at the first whistle, then you kind of have to do it or whatever. But yeah.
But regardless, do you want to talk about the goals? Because the Cicerone goals, both of them, pretty good.
Yeah, both of them were really good. I mean, Cicerone gets the man of the match vote on the poll. I do think Dequo was a good shout. I think he wasn't better than Cicerone in this game. But I want to, before talking about Cicerone's goals, I think Dequa has been Dequa has been just real. Like I haven't stated it enough. He's just he's solid every week. Like he puts in a 7 out of 10 performance every week, and he'll get his goals. He works. I feel like for being a striker, he runs more than almost anyone else on the field. And Deke was, I think Deke was really solid. I mean, and it takes something to keep Dane Kelly off the field. And right now, Deke was doing it. But yeah, no, Cicerone. Ever since the end of that 6-game run where we didn't win, and I think he broke it by getting his goal against Red Bulls. Ever since then, I think he's looked a completely different player. He's getting his goals. He looks confident. He looks cocky. He's celebrating in certain ways after the goals that kind of indicate that he's like, yeah, I'm feeling it now. He's setting up goals. He's not being selfish. I mean, he put in a couple really good balls in this game, along with getting 2 goals. So no, I mean the second one, the second goal in particular, it was just, yeah. I mean, it was essentially like 3. They looked simple passes in the buildup, but each one just kind of perfectly advanced the ball exactly the way we needed to, and it just led into. It looked really easy, and the goals that look really easy are the goals that like you have to work the hardest for. And I think it's usually like there's that quote of saying like a goal is either scored by 2 people doing a really good thing or one person doing like an amazing thing. And this felt like it was like 3 or 4 people doing an above average thing that just kind of chained together and just led into the goal. Yeah, it just looked like, okay, yeah, we are the better team than you, and like this is how we prove it. And it looked so good. It was so simple. Yeah, I love that goal.
Yeah, I mean the first goal, the header, in that was it Ravi that did the assist there, and it was just perfectly. passed. I mean, that going back to what you said, it is a situation where both those goals looked simple for Cicerone because they were really good
Yeah.
passes to him. They were ahead of him. They weren't like making him like go back or like trying to, get a weird angle on it. It was just perfect passes and just popping it in. And
Yeah.
both of them were great. I mean, obviously there's still skill involved with actually, redirecting that pass and making it into the goal. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot should be said about both those the passes. So the Robbie one and then the other one was Dequa.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was nice. It was great to
Yeah.
see. I'm super excited to see Cicerone score. I think we had another poll earlier in the week where over the next 12 games, who scores more goals for the Riverhounds? And Cicerone got 54% of the vote. Decoy got 45% of the vote, almost 46. And I mean, this kind of goes along with that. But I will say that I'm not going to be sad if either one. Like, I want to be sad if I got that one wrong. I think I actually said Dequa, but
Mm. I think I would go Cicerone. Dequa feels very well. I mean, I don't know. They both sound. This both sounds weird, but I was gonna say Dequa feels very committed to being like a part of the system, and I get the feeling that Cicerone has a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder, especially now where he's he's like, if I don't score, I'm upset, and that's the kind of attitude I like for goal scorers and strikers. Not that Deco necessarily doesn't have that. Deco just feels he looks just so committed to like the team effort, and that's wonderful. You need, everyone needs to do that at a base level, and then you sprinkle, fairy dust on top of that, and that's when you get great players. But Cicerone he just looked on it. I mean, I'd be surprised. Other than like a resting situation, yeah. I mean, he'd be one of my first names in the team sheet now.
for sure. So yeah, it's the goals. The fact that oh yeah, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but the thoughts about the subs after
Yeah,
we went down a man. It is interesting who we brought on. My defense in that one, and it ended up working obviously, but what I was thinking at the time was you're bringing on two players that control the ball and who control the flow a lot. Like they're going to be able to shut things down, and they just have a good spatial awareness of the play around them and how to dictate that play.
yeah,
So even though they're not like defenders necessarily, they are definitely players that can control where that ball is going and how it's being dictated.
yeah.
That was my thought.
Well, let me ask you this question. That's a good point. If the red card happens on like minute 75, do you think the same subs are being made? Because to give you time to think about that,
Yeah.
my thought about that was the red card goes at 54, and Lily knows that, like, okay, we can't just park the bus for 36 minutes. Like that's like that won't work. And so we need to still have an edge going forward and threaten them in a way and allow us to get out a bit more, because we just can't play that game for 36 minutes. And so I think that's why he does it. If it happens on 75, I'm not sure. I think then he becomes a little more comfortable and confident. And, I mean, the other thing is, maybe we see Dos Santos earlier. I think Dos Santos gets subbed on, but it was after Kelly and Kenny get subbed on.
Yeah.
And so maybe Dos Santos comes on and maybe Mikael Williams, and they sure something. I mean, looking at the bench, actually, I mean, there isn't a ton.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. I'm like, the only other option would have been Kisa or Vasovic. So,
Yeah.
But there's also the other option, not subbing on all five players, which Lily would do that. Like, Lily would totally be like, it's working. Who cares? I'm not going to use all five subs.
I will say, though, I mean, it felt like everyone was going down with cramp in this game. So
yeah, but you don't think that was just time wasting on our part? Like, we were just trying to get that clock
I think
running
Jamali
down.
Waite's time wasting, and then
Obviously,
when Toby Sims goes down, though, I mean, I can believe that a little more.
Yeah.
Or like Griffin or something, but
yeah. I mean, anything after that red card, I feel like was probably just a little bit embellishment, but
yeah,
I can see it. And going back to Toby Sims, by the way, I forgot to mention it because you said at the beginning of a thing where you're one of your tangents there was that I do think Toby Sims is just a fun player to watch. And personality wise, he's also really fun. Like I don't know if you follow their social media at all that much, but there was a challenge that apparently he said that he can finish a Rubik's cube in a minute, and people are like, yeah, right, yes, no, you can't. And so they did a fun video with him actually, and I think it was Yabara was with him.
Oh, I gotta check this
Had a
out.
stopwatch going, and like, here you go, here it is, and like he mixed it up for him, and then handed it to him, and then they had the stopwatch going, and yeah, sure enough, I
That's
think it was like
awesome.
47 seconds, 47 seconds, or 45 seconds, somewhere around there. Got us finished, so that was really fun to watch. That, and I'm always partial to Sims, if nothing else, because of Fez from UK fan podcasts.
Yeah.
It's oi Toby boy.
Yeah.
So
how are you with the Rubik's Cube skills, Josh?
not good at all. Not good
Yeah,
at all.
me neither.
I had one for the longest time, and I never solved it. And those stickers come off though. I don't know if you know that. It's easy to peel those stickers off and rearrange them. I'm just saying, you can make it look like you solved it.
I feel like it's just, yeah, I'm the same. I get this. Maybe this tells a lot about me, and I need to work a lot more on myself. But I feel like the Rubik's Cube just is like laughing at me, and it's just like I can't solve it. Like I can't do it, and I just hate myself. And then yeah, it's just not good. So yeah.
We should probably actually talk about Yabara and his 2 yellows. I thought it was stupid. Like the second yellow, I get it. Like if you're not on a yellow, you do what he did.
Yeah.
But you're on a yellow, you can't do what he did. Like
Yeah.
it completely pulled the defender or the attacking player back because he got past him and he was going towards goal. I mean, we're up by 2.
Yeah.
You don't need to make that foul, and especially if you're on a yellow. You don't need to make that foul.
I think he knew it too. Like I think when it happened, he puts his head in his shirt, and he's just like, oh man. Like I think it's just one of those things where you do it instinctively,
Yeah,
and then you forget that you're on a yellow. You're right. I mean, yeah, at any other point in the game, because that's the thing. Like if you go in a little hot on a challenge, you're pushing the ref into a tough place that he doesn't really want to give a second yellow for something like that. But so sometimes you can get away with something like that. With blatant, I'm going to stop the play because I've been beaten. That's like always a yellow, unless you're doing it like down by their 18-yard box or something, and even then. So yeah, it was as soon as it happened, I was like, yep. Like usually I feel like we're pretty contentious around whether or not something's a red, especially when it's on our end. But I mean, I think it was probably the right call.
If he's going for the ball and he commits a foul, it's one thing. But this is legit just like pulling your hand or, pulling the back of the jersey, trying to stop the player from making the play. And it's like, well, that's obviously a yellow card. Like there's no way around it. So yeah, it was definitely a yellowable offense and sending off. So it is what it is.
It was a spicy game. I mean, like, they get 4 yellows. I mean, we get the 1 red. I mean, with 2 yellows for Ibarra, but that's it. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of trying to pull up the numbers in front of me. But yeah, 13 fouls versus 14 fouls. Geez, that's a lot.
And a lot of them were going kind of unpunished because I will say I thought the ref was doing a good job of just kind of letting the game go.
Yeah.
And like I felt like there wasn't a lot of like whistling for the time to stop or anything like that. But yeah, it was a rough game, and it's funny, even the announcers kept on talking about how like these games are usually low scoring because it's the Hounds and Indy and the blah blah blah. And like I'm not saying 2-0 is high scoring, but it definitely felt a lot more action packed than some previous games with us.
When Rivera hits the post?
Yeah,
right?
that I think that was Rivera. Yeah, like, and there was even a save earlier, I think, that the keeper made. I'm trying to think if
it was Cicerone. What, it was like a rocket right down the middle. Yeah. That was Cicerone.
Was it before the red? I think it was before the red. Yeah. And I definitely thought like that, like the keeper kept them in. Like it was right to the keeper, so it's not much.
It was, but that was like probably one of the best hit strikes in the USL I've seen.
For how far out he wasn't in the box, and it just was a rocket, and it like the ringing sound from the gloves, like the thump of the glove. It was like, ooh, that good thing those gloves are padded. That was a pretty
well. This brings up this conversation topic brings up the point. I mean, we haven't talked about it yet, but the ghost goal, no goal that Indy might have scored. Yeah. I completely forgot about that until talking about it now. Yeah. What do you think? I don't know.
Okay. From the angles we could see,
Mm-hmm.
it looked like it was probably a goal. Just from looking at the pellets coming up and like how far into the goal those pellets came up. But I mean, the whole ball has to be past the line. You have to be able to see, you know, a smidge of green between the line and the ball. Like it has to be that far in. There's no way for us to know if it was
Yeah.
that far in. Like
Yeah.
without goal line technology, without having a camera right there pointing down, no clue. But from the angles we saw, it was probably in.
I feel the exact same way. I feel like given the angles that we saw, it was pretty clear to me that like minimum 80% of the ball was in. But, even if 99% of the ball is in, it's still not a goal. And you need to, be sure about that. So, yeah, that with the technology that's available in USL, there's no way of clarifying it. It definitely, like when it went, I was like, oh man, like, I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, we'll never know. But it was very close.
The Steel Army tweeted out, and then I can't remember who actually got the video, but back in 2020, there was a no goal called against us against Indy at home, and it was a very very similar situation where they didn't call the goal a goal, and it looked obvious that it was a goal. It hit the top and it went down, and it like bounced
That's some
out.
good sleuthing.
Yeah, yeah. And, like watching the video, it's like, yeah, yeah. The Steel Army's did the Hounds just get even for the 2020 no goal versus Indy? I think they did. And
Here's
then
the thing, though. Even if it went in, like I don't know. I don't think the game changes. I think we still win 2-1. Like
I
I
do
don't.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't look like, although you never know once a goal
Yeah.
happens if
Yeah.
like people's emotions change, people get a little bit more sloppy or a little bit more nervous, and like the other side gets a little bit more, motivated and feels like there's a chance, so they play harder. So like it's hard to say, but I do feel like the way we were controlling the midfield and able to keep things out probably would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it was close.
I got to give it up to the Indy fans too. They're committed to playing brass instruments shirtless. Like that's their thing. That's just like I was surprised and impressed. It's like there's a lot of shirtless dudes in there. Like that's
You don't have to give indie fans anything. I'm just gonna say that it's fine. No, yeah, I'm not a huge brass fan when it comes to soccer. Sometimes, but it's when it's done well, I do enjoy it. But too many
yeah.
times you get someone in there drinking a little bit too much, just blowing on a horn, and like they're the only thing you can hear, and you're just like, bro, come on. It's a little bit look at me, look at me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about this game before we look at the standings?
Anything else? I don't think so. I mean, so far, maybe just like doing a final recap. I mean, so far we've been loosely right. A couple podcasts ago, we were like, all right, is Jamali Waite the keeper now for the rest of the season? Looks like it. I mean,
For sure.
continues to look like it now. I do wonder whether or not we're starting to cement that in other positions across the field too. I mean, I think generally speaking, Ordonez, Wheat, and Peters are probably the setback three, with Williams getting in every once in a while. I think he'll change it up at the wing backs. Griffin's a lock, and he'll get a different partner every once in a while. And then, so the question I'm leading up to is, my hunch is, I think, unless he needs a break, I think it's Deco and Cicerone.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Kelly's gonna get a start, like a start with a consistent run of games from now until the end of the season. So I think at this point, I think Lily's he's trying to settle into a lineup as best he can. It seems like he likes Dequa. Kelly hasn't started in a while. If I was more, prepared, I would know this number off the top of my head. But yeah, I can't remember the last time Kelly's had 2 straight starts or something. It's been a while. So I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments on like whether or not you think, someone else. I mean, Dixon will start given the right situation. So will Kenny. So both of them being on the bench this week. Okay, whatever. You mentioned about rotation before, but I think Kelly is the one where I think we have enough stuff now we have enough evidence to suggest that I think it's it's Deco and Cicerone that he's going to favor, and then he'll do something with Dixon, he'll do something with Mertz, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean it's working. Keep going with it. And it's if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that Dan Kelly was not going to be consistently our starter and our star player, I would have been very, very surprised. So
Yeah.
it is kind of just baffling that that's what happened and very surprising. But I do think, it's such an intimidating bench. Like as soon as like every announcer and you always see it about analysis of the Hounds. It's like their bench is a lot of teams' starting lineup. Like
Yeah.
it's a situation where they have such firepower and such veteran stalwarts of the league that it's crazy to think who we have on our bench and what we can bring out when we need it. The certain tools, and it's a good problem to have. I'm the fact that he might be on the bench more often than not, but he will probably show up in every game almost. Like I could definitely see that being like a consistent sub that we have happen.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So yeah, not a problem to me. And
yeah, I agree.
all right, so let's look at the line or the table, and I believe this has been updated. Mike said it was updated, but he's on the show, so maybe are we in fourth? We're in fourth. This looks right. Okay.
Yeah, it looks right. Yeah.
All right, so the Hounds are sitting in fourth place right now because Memphis, actually, the whole slate of games this week did not really do us any favors. Everyone who we didn't really want to win won, or didn't draw. But regardless, so we're in fourth with 43 points. Memphis is now in third with 45 points. And then we have Tampa with 48 points. And then up top, we have Louisville with 49 points. We have not much breathing room below us either because Birmingham is right below us with 41 points. That's only 2 points less than we have. And then a little bit more of breathing room after that. We have Detroit with 35 points.
But the point, I mean, like the point with a little bit of breathing room with Birmingham is really valid because for me, whether or not, changing between fourth and fifth from a playoff perspective is extremely important.
Yes.
Changing from, fifth to sixth, whatever. I don't care too much. You're picking between playing Louisville or Tampa. So yeah, no, I think it's really important. I'm happy to see Detroit fall away a little bit. We'll see what Birmingham can do. They're on a 3-game winning streak based off of what we're looking at here. I mean, so unfortunate, but we have a chance to change that this upcoming week because we got Memphis.
Yeah. All right. Nothing else I can really think about talking about that except for the fact that Detroit is falling away, and if it's a trend, a lot of people called on this saying that Detroit was probably going to have an issue staying up with the quality they've been having all season long, just because of how shallow their bench is, and just this is their first season in a league that lasts this long, so it's not going to be that surprising. So I guess we should probably talk about the next game, which I did not pull up anything about, but I know it's Memphis. That's about it.
It's Memphis at home.
Yeah.
At Highmark. I mean, I don't know. Memphis they look good.
I mean, this is an important game because of the fact that they're right above us in the standings. They at 45 points, we're at 43. So if we win this game, that means they can't win a game that week. So it's a 6-point swing, and we for sure, top them in the standings. And it's not that far away to second place. Like it's not like we're completely out of the running for second or first even, but second is, first or second would be great.
Yeah, my only thing about second though is looking at where Tampa is. Okay, yeah, we're 5 points away from Tampa. Yeah, 5 points is just 2 weeks. Like that's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing.
But Tampa has lost 3 games all season. Like that's so. We've lost 6, they've lost 3 all season. So I don't know. It feels like Louisville and Tampa are just on a pedestal, and we're all just trying to keep up. To me, weirdly enough, I almost feel like this game against Memphis, it's more important about our relationship to Birmingham rather than it is our relationship to like third or second. Like, if
That's
anything,
fair.
I want to get another 3 points to keep more space between us and Birmingham. The fact that it's Memphis, that's great, but I don't really care. Like, so yeah, I mean, it is a big game. I will say, and looking at Memphis's previous schedule, last time they played Tampa and Louisville, they lost both those games.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to, extrapolate that out and say maybe that, they're where they are for a reason. Maybe they can't really turn it on against the bigger teams. And if we're, a River Hounds podcast, and if we're going to say that the River Hounds have been underperforming and actually, like we should be up there rubbing elbows with Tampa, more than we already are, then, maybe that bodes well for us or something. I don't know. But, we're playing really well at the moment. We're going to be home. Even though Memphis is ahead of us in the table, I think this is pretty even. This is kind of a coin toss for this game.
Yeah, and like just kind of keeping on that thread about the top dogs and all that. So the rest of the season we play Memphis once, we play Louisville once, and we play, I guess, Birmingham would be the other top one as far as in the East Coast. Um, Everyone else are
And we
either
get
West
all
Coast
those at
teams.
home, right? I think.
Birmingham's away. So Birmingham's away, Louisville's at home, and obviously Memphis is at home.
I thought we had. Don't we? No, we don't play Tampa again. Yeah, we already played Tampa at home. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like there's only a couple
I
more
like our
opportunities
run
for
in.
us.
Yeah.
I don't know about the West Coast teams. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know enough
Yeah,
about
it's
the
true.
West Coast teams. So we play Orange County, we play San Antonio, we play Sacramento Republic, and then we play
Yeah.
Oakland Roots. Like, those are
Yeah.
all of our last games,
Yeah.
and all of them are West Coast teams.
But
So
3 of them are at home, which is nice.
that helps. That helps a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. But yeah, going back to the Memphis thing is like that's where we're at as far as what we're playing, and it is nice to know we do have a game against Birmingham. So like something we're if we need to win, like that's a good one to win because that can be a huge swing in points. But like Birmingham plays like I guess they play Indy 11, which is not doing great. They played the Rowdies in the last game. They also don't have very many teams left that are like really like top dog teams.
You're saying their schedule at the end of the season might be a little easier than ours.
I think it's on par with ours. I don't think ours is all that bad either, but I don't think it's maybe a little bit easier. So we all the points matter obviously, especially at this endeavor at this time of the season. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and beating Memphis would go a long ways to giving us a little bit more breathing room. So hopefully.
I think so too. I think the other thing, and I mean, I know this isn't Memphis explicit, but in our lot, we have 11 games left. 7 of them are at home. I mean, we're unbalanced in the best way possible. 7 home games and 4 away games. And like we mentioned, the big ones are at home too. That game against Louisville, at Highmark, September 10th, is just freaking huge. I mean, it's the 6th to the last game of the season. So like we should be at that point essentially in prime playoff like mode. That could be that's just a huge game. I mean, but not to overstate this, this coming weekend on Saturday, August 13th. I mean, the Memphis game's huge. It's 4th versus 3rd. Memphis is in a good run of form, so are we. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up? A little bit shorter of one today, but that's because there's only 2 of us, so we can't vamp as much.
Exactly. No, I'm just trying to quickly, before we wrap up, go back and check. Yeah, the last time we played Memphis was like way early in the season, right?
Wasn't that the first game? Oh, was it? Not the first game. It was
right after.
Yeah, it was the first game. Yeah. The first game of the season was Memphis, and we won 3-0. March 12th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember it being referred to on the podcast where we all thought like Memphis was going to be bad, and we beat them, and they got it right. And it was just like, oh yeah, easy. But ever since then,
yeah, okay. I mean they're a good team. They've been doing great, and it would be fantastic to personally, I think being in 3rd is really cool. Like I don't know, maybe it's just like the whole idea of like the top 3 teams, like
No, I think it's important. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
should do everything, especially because, like, what if we go back to the standings? Like, okay, if you blew the whistle now, if we had it, that'd be the difference between playing Miami or Tulsa. So, you can have your opinions on how that might change, or you can have your opinions on the differences between Miami and Tulsa. But I mean, just looking at their goal difference, or their goal difference, Miami has a goal difference of +4 on the season. Tulsa has a goal difference of -11. So, and based off of just what I know about Miami and Tulsa, yeah, you'd rather. Well, no, wait, I'm getting all of this wrong. Jeez, why? Oh, why didn't you stop me?
I was waiting. I thought about like it's a play-in, so it could be either Tulsa or Indy, right?
Well, no, but also that would be first or second, right? So if you're third
Oh
or
yeah, yeah,
fourth,
you're right,
you'd be
you're right,
playing
you're right,
fifth
you're
or
right.
sixth.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that'd
yeah.
be
That's what
different.
I
That'd be
was.
the difference between playing Birmingham or Detroit.
I was wrong for a different reason.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
See, Mike, when you're not on the show, it's just. Although Josh is doing a wonderful job hosting, I must say. But yeah, I mean, right now I'd rather play Detroit than Birmingham. So the difference between third and fourth is pretty important. But
Oh man, Detroit in the playoffs.
that'd be amazing.
Whew, that'd be a game. That would be a game. All right. Well, that's all I got. That's all you got.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna end the podcast because I did not look at.
I think that's very reasonable. Good job.
Okay. Everyone have a good week. We'll see you next week, and hopefully, I'll be with another victory beverage.
Cheers. I legitimately forgot what I was like. Wait, what do I say? He's wrapping up so quick. I need time. Cheers.